also we have our beautiful Miss Universe 2019, Zozibini Tunzi.
Hello.
There
Hi,
she
Steph.
is. And the gorgeous Miss South Africa 2019, Sasha-Lee.
Hi.
So happy that you both could be here today, and really want to just talk about what it takes to be a Miss South Africa and how it feels to enter Miss South Africa. We all know that it's not something that you just kind of decide on, on the fly. You're going to quickly just do it. There's preparation and things that go on board. So maybe take us through the journey from both of your perspectives. Zoz, how did you get to enter? I mean, talking about the fact that you also, you had entered in 2017 and you made it through to the semi-finals, and how it brought you back to being able to enter again.
So for me, because I'd already entered in 2017, I kind of knew that I would want to come back at some point, but I just didn't know when I would come back. And initially, I actually wanted to enter this year and not last year, because I just started an internship at Ogilvy. And I was literally, I think, 3 months or 2 months in, and it's something that I was excited about. I got a job, my family was proud, everyone was just happy. And then Miss South Africa entries open. I'm still not bothered by it at this point, because I'm like, I'm not doing it this year, okay? I'm doing it next year. And then I look at the requirements, and I think the requirements that you had last year had something about being 26. I think, if I'm not mistaken. And I was going to be turning 26. And so I thought, oh my goodness, if this happens next year, then that means I won't qualify. And so that's when I decided to enter. And I think it was a battle, Steph, because people have lives before this. And I think what people might not be aware of is that Miss South Africa is a full-time job. You do that and only that. You cannot balance it with anything else. And so in my mind, I had to kind of choose between taking this leap of entering or, staying at this internship that I just started out in. So that was my internal conflict and where my mind was at that time. But I felt so strongly about it because I knew what Miss South Africa was. I knew what this platform could do for me, and I knew what it could do for other people as well, because that's another part about it. It's not just about you. The minute you enter, there's so many emotions, there's so many people involved. Whether you like it or not, it will never be just about you. It will be about where you come from. It will be about the things that you stand for. It will be what it means to other people. And so when I weighed those options, I thought, you know what, this internship is great, but I feel like I need to do this if I want to take a leap and follow my dreams to where I want them to be. And so I made that decision. I did Miss South Africa, and I entered. It was last minute. It was literally last minute. But let me correct this. It wasn't last minute for me to ever do Miss South Africa. I always knew I was going to do it, but it was a last minute thing to enter the year that I did, because I never thought I would do it that year. And look at me now. It turns out it was the right year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, one of the things that you always used to tell me was like that photo shoot that you did. I mean, what did you do it like a day before, like just randomly started to find something? That photo's gone down in history.
Yes, I want to tell that story. I know, right? Whenever I look at that photo that I entered with, it's the craziest thing because it's the most photo of me that has been circulated everywhere. So the story with that entry photo is that, first of all, I had a horrible phone at the time. Like my camera was not even going to do me any justice. And because I didn't have any modeling background, I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this, let me just jump right in. I looked for a photographer, Megan Davis in Cape Town, and I called her and I said, listen, I know that it says in your website you take photos and it takes a week or two before I can get them, but I need these photos in 2 days. And I remember her saying, what do you mean? And I was like, listen, I'm going to Miss South Africa and I'm going to need these photos in 2 days. Please, Megan. And she was like, okay, come through, let's see what we can do. So we took these photos. I think it was a Wednesday. It must have been a Thursday, I think. Friday, Saturday in the evening, she sent them to me. And the entries, it was Sunday during the day, they came in and the entries were closing the following day. So she sends me these photos. I quickly choose which ones I like. She goes and edits them again and then comes back to me in the evening. And I literally entered a few hours before the entries closed.
But shout out to Megan Davis, because I mean, I
Shout
think
out to Megan.
shout out to Megan, because the most important thing is that, you know, and we were talking about this, and I mean, Sash, you know, from your perspective as well, you know, how important is a photo and how easy or difficult is it? Because, you know, especially with COVID currently, you know, it's challenging. You're not going to be able to have professional photos done, but there's little tricks and tidbits that you guys have learned in your different roles that you can take a sensational photo with your phone, with somebody else's phone, different ways and means to do things.
So for me, tips behind it would actually just be really good lighting. And I think over the period that we were Miss South Africa and Miss Universe respectively, I think we've learned with time how to best do our makeup and make sure it was a look specifically for us that showed more of who we were instead of what we wanted to be. I remember when submitting my photos, I was a bit spoiled for choice, you know, being in the modeling industry previously before Miss South Africa and trying to showcase who I was. So I remember we had to submit 6 photos or less, and I submitted all 6 because I chose. I'm just going to blame it on the positioning of the sun the day I was born. I was born in October, so we were a bit spoiled for choice when it comes to things. So I couldn't decide. So I picked different pictures of me along different roads, along a different space in my journey as a model. But I'd say that I think, just to touch on what Zoz was saying, you know, it was last minute. I don't think that that's the make or break. You know, Miss South Africa is a woman of substance. She's a woman who knows exactly what she wants. She has a vision for not only her future, but for what she's going to be taking other people along. And I think that, you know, it doesn't just end with that photo.
And I think that's a really important thing, Sash, and for both of you, this is a good one. I mean, Zoz, when you look at that picture that Megan took, to where you are now, I mean, it's the same person, but just talk about the fact that, you know, we don't expect you to be perfect, you know, and we don't expect a certain look. We want to see you. And I think the biggest thing when I remember seeing both of your photos is that you guys were proud of who you were. And that's what was so, you know, grabbing about seeing both of your entries. I remember it quite vividly, you know, Zoz with your short hair, Sasha being full of figured and being very proud of that. I mean, those were the photos that we got given, and we get to see you through, you know, being your authentic selves. And I think, you know, what I'm trying to ask here is, if you had to look back at that picture and think about, you know, how much has gone into that and how different your life is, you know, maybe elaborate on you know, what that feels like, what that is.
Yeah, you know, I was actually looking at that photo a couple of days ago, and I was so proud of it because I remember the thought that went into it. I remember I directed how the shot would be and how I wanted to be represented. I told her I sort of wanted because when I first did my makeup, I wanted it very plain, first of all. I didn't have a lot going on my face. I didn't put on any earrings. I didn't do a lot. And then when I got to her, I said, I don't want to have jewelry and clothes on as well. I just want to have like my photo of my shoulders up to my head with my skin, you know, showing, because I felt like that's who I am. You know, for me, less is more. Again, it's a personality thing. For you, if your personality is loud and it's big earrings and it's colors and it's bold, do just that, you know, because that's who you are. That's a representation of who you are. So I don't want people to look at my photo and think that's the way that it's supposed to be. That's not how it's supposed to be. That's who I am. You know, for me, being minimalistic is who I am. And I wanted to show myself in my most natural form. So I'm proud of that photo, you know, because it's who I am. If you see that photo, it tells you so much about what to expect from me. And so my advice to people putting in photos, make sure that it's yourself, because this is the one chance you have. The judges aren't going to see you first. They're going to see that photo first, and they're going to see the information that you put in. Make sure that it's a representation of who you are. If you're loud, be loud in your photos and be proud. If you're minimalistic as I am, be that and then be proud of who you are. So make sure that it's that. Sasha spoke about lighting, and you spoke about the cell phones that we have now. You don't have to go to a photographer. We did because we had a choice to do it. Now you don't, because of what's happening during this time. But you take selfies every day, you take full photos every day, and that should be enough. As long as the photo is clear, as long as people can see who you are, I think that should be perfect. So people shouldn't stress too much, Steph. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, don't stress too much, because I wasn't a model. I'm not a model. I wasn't signed to any agency, so I didn't have professional looking photos and poses. I literally just, for my full photo, I just stood there. Literally, I just took a photo of myself standing there and a photo of my face. They're not looking for you to perform and do ridiculous poses or look like a seasoned model. I don't think that's what they're looking for.
And I think even just to add on that, I think Miss South Africa is so much more than a model. She's a multifaceted human, She has so many skills that that she needs to hone on. It's not just about beauty. And as Steph, with regard to the rebranding, beauty is only one pillar. And as it's defined right now, it's about authenticity and who you are. So I think just showcase that, and that is the most important thing.
Absolutely. I think we talk a lot about authenticity, and I think that it's important to define what that means, Sash, when we talk about authenticity. And I think it's a little bit and trick that we always say to the girls, and it's not even a trick, it's the truth. I'm not looking, and as an organization, we're never looking for another Zozi or another Sasha. And I think we told you girls that on repeat as well. It's about being yourselves. And what does that mean? How do, if people say, well, how do I be authentic? Elaborate on what does that mean?
For me, authenticity is going against this pre-assumed template that was created by a subjective society. We often are told how to look. We often told what beauty is. But as far as I know, no one has the right to define what beauty is. It's a matter of showing up. It's a matter of commanding your space. It's a matter of Zozi saying, take up space and owning who you are, and coming forward and bringing that confidence. Because I can say this from experience. I was trying to get into the modeling industry for 6 years straight. And all they wanted was a girl who would either lose a lot of weight or gain a lot of weight, because I didn't fit into the template. And with persistence and with just owning who I was, and often it was difficult because you've been told no. And this was a dream, for me to become a model, to later become, Miss South Africa. And you told no for the longest time. And I think that with organizations like you guys, Miss South Africa, and, like Miss Universe, taking on the notion of beauty redefined, or broadening the definition of what it means to be beautiful, it's definitely giving girls the opportunity to be authentic and understand more what that is right now.
Yeah, I want to agree with Sasha. It is absolutely that. It's going against the grain. It's defying status quo. That's what being authentic means. And it's literally not walking into rooms saying, I'm authentic, I'm authentic. You don't have to keep saying it. You just have to be it. And it's so easy to be that, because all you have to do is wake up and present yourself as natural. That's all. Like, just wake up and arrive. Forget about what society says a beauty queen should be. I would know. Okay? Society has said many, many times that I'm not a beauty queen. Some people are still saying it now. But what's important is that now more than ever, a lot of people are realizing that you don't have to have a certain look, or just go against the grain. Defy status quo for once. When people say you shouldn't be this and should be that, like Sasha said, society has had this borders for such a long time of boxing people and telling us who we should be, what we should do, and how we should act. You know, a lady should do this and not do that. All of that doesn't matter because you are who you are. All you have to do is just wake up, arrive, get in front of those judges, tell them your story. Your story, I think, Sash, you will agree, is one of the most important things you will ever have because people relate to it. People understand you through your story. You can act a certain way as much as you want, but if you give us your story and who you are authentically, where you come from, why you are where you are, what makes you who you are. It doesn't matter how ugly you think it is. Your ugly might actually inspire someone to embrace what they think is ugly about themselves as well. So I think it's a matter of understanding who we are, you know, soul searching, self-introspecting ourselves, understanding ourselves deeper so that we can show other people who we are and not be scared of being vulnerable in all our authenticity.
And I think that's really important what you just said, Zoz. It is about being vulnerable. And I think the journey allows you to be vulnerable. I mean, you know, we're going to talk about the journey a little bit now, but I look at you both, and you know, obviously Zozi's sitting in New York City. Sash is in her apartment in San Francisco. And it's just crazy if you think about it from both your perspectives. And I'd love to hear it from, you know, from you specifically, Zoz. You know, a girl who grew up, and I've been to Tsolo, and I've been to your home.
Yes.
And there you are sitting in New York City, you know.
I know.
It's a crazy journey, but look at you.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful journey, Steph, and it's an incredible story. I had an interview a few days ago, actually, where when someone asked me about that, and I gave an example of, I remember growing up with my sisters, and we would watch TV, and we loved Yo TV, and I remember sitting there thinking to myself, I can do that, you know, I can be that, and I must have been 10, 9, 12, thinking I can do that, that can be me. What they're doing there is, it's extraordinary. And I think that a girl like me from a village in small town can do it too, but it was so frustrating because I never had the opportunities. And it was so sad because whenever I looked at it, I was like, I don't know if I could ever get there in my life. How is it possible to come from where I come from and to be where I am right now and get there? I used to feel so envious, you know, of the young girls and boys presenting that show and wishing I was born in Johannesburg. I was like, I wish I was born in Johannesburg or Cape Town or something, you know, a place where I can go pursue and achieve these things. And then I grew up and then I did achieve those things eventually because I believed that I could. And then as I grew up, I realized I didn't have to come from Johannesburg. I didn't have to come from Cape Town to become the person that I am. I had to come from Tsolo. I had to come from Estuadweni and Dudwa because those are the places that molded me and made me who I am. And now, because of the opportunities that we have, because of the internet, because of how things have changed, I was able to achieve those things. So I never imagined that I would be here, but I knew that I wanted it. It's always been a dream. I've always wanted it. It just seemed impossible, but it's not, which is what I'm trying to say. It's not impossible. Those dreams that you had as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, those dreams that you still have now that you feel like you cannot achieve, I've been there. I've been there many, many times before in my life, and I'm here, you know, so it's possible. I know people might think it's a cliche. It doesn't matter where you come from. Literally, it doesn't matter where you come from, what circumstances you've been through. You can still achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve if you believe in yourself and if you work hard towards it.
I mean, Sash, I think that talks to exactly what we've been trying to say as a brand, you know, face your power and embrace your future. I mean, you know, how does that resonate with what Zozi's just said for you?
For me, it's, you know, it's a matter of empowerment. And I know that obviously is one of, you know, the brand now. But for me, what empowerment is being put in a position where you can have, you know, all of these opportunities. But I think at the core of everything, you need that belief, you know, because that's what gets you in the door. The belief is what gets you there. And then in terms of empowerment, previously how I viewed Miss South Africa was, this tool to alleviate various socio-economic issues, because when I saw it, I didn't see it for myself. I saw the benefit it would have for others, to hear my story, to see my journey. But, being Miss South Africa, I now understand in terms of empowerment, from my perspective, it was broadening, my worldview and being able to see all these things, not for what they were, but for what they could be, so that's just how it resonates with me.
Yeah, and I think, let's be honest here. The prize package is always so exciting, to look at, to be like, oh my goodness, I could win all of this. How amazing is this? I want to enter because of this. But is that the reason that you should want to be Miss South Africa?
I think,
okay, you go first, Sash.
I'd say that speaking from experience, not with regards to Miss South Africa, but with regards to the reason why I chose my first degree that I pursued. I chose BCom accounting, and my pursuit was economic gain, given the circumstances I found myself in. And once I was in accounting, I realized that economic gain was just not enough. As with this position, what you get, what you receive, it's not enough. You need to have this passion for people. You need to have this vision for what it is that you want to do, because what you receive for now, it wouldn't be able to sustain you. You need to have some type of passion there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Sasha. The prizes are amazing and they could do incredible things for someone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If that is one of your reasons to do it, that for me is a good enough reason, but it shouldn't be the only reason. I'm saying it should be a good enough reason because people might find themselves in tight financial situations. I've been there, I've looked at that cash prize and I've been like, imagine what this could have done earlier on when I got kicked out of school. It could have helped me pay for those fees, it could help me build my family, because sometimes for some other people, charity begins at home. And so if this is something that you need for that, I will never judge you for wanting to come in and be Miss South Africa to get that money for, for whatever financial situation you need. But what I'm saying is it shouldn't be the only thing, because if it is the only thing, you will suffer throughout your reign, because you got the money and then what? You have the whole reign to go through that you have absolutely no passion for. That will kill you, during your reign. So don't let it be the only reason. The bigger reason is the platform. The bigger reason is the platform. You have such an incredible voice that could help so many people. Use that platform to use that voice to not only help yourself, but to help others. It is so fulfilling, Sash. I know you will probably know this as well. It's so fulfilling to be able to do something that is so much more than yourself, that serves a bigger purpose. For me, I think that's one of the reasons that made me do this, There's so many socioeconomic issues, like you said, there's so many social issues happening out there in the world that need people to fight for them. And this is a platform to do that. If you're passionate about something, let your voice be heard.
Yeah.
Your voice matters and it can change someone's life completely. If I can tell you the amount of messages I got after I said what I said at the Miss Universe stage, about being myself, about representation, about inclusion, that meant something to someone. Not the money that I was going to win, not the fact that I was going to move into the New York apartment. That could happen any other way. It could have happened for any other reason. But the biggest moment was that moment when I used that platform and my voice. And this is an opportunity. Miss South Africa is that opportunity for you to do that whole year, to use your voice to make a change and to make an impact in someone's life and your life as well.
Absolutely. I think that's so true. Girls ask numerous different questions before they enter. And I'm just going to touch on some of them. And because perfect experience here. Zozi specifically for this one, the guy, do you need a social media following to enter?
I love that you said me especially.
No, seriously. How many followers to start off with, Zoz?
Oh man, Steph is asking me this because she knows that I hated social media.
We were in the same WhatsApp groups. We were in the same group.
Okay, you don't need a social media following to do Miss South Africa. I was one of the least followed people during the Miss South Africa pageant, okay? Because I didn't post much. Like the last time I had posted before coming to Miss South Africa was a year before on Christmas Day with my family. That was literally my last post before coming into Miss South Africa in August. So you can just imagine, you don't have to be an influencer. You don't have to be a content creator to do Miss South Africa. You can come. I had probably less than 1,000 followers, and then obviously my followers shot up.
300 the day that we saw your entry form.
You know what, Steph? You don't have to put my business out there. But yes, I had absolutely no followers because I didn't really care for it at that time. So don't worry. If you have 100 followers, even if you've just created your Instagram a week ago, that's fine. You know, you should enter.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I think there's something really important which I want to talk about. You know, what the journey and I mean, there's so many ups and downs along the way. I mean, I know it's tough, and it feels it's super competitive. And when you are a top 16 finalist or just a finalist, you know, that competition, you know, how does it affect you? How do you learn? How do you grow? And all the kind of, you know, amazing things that does happen. I mean, you've got sisters that you would never have, you know, ultimately had. And there's so much more than just, and I always say it, I said it on repeat, that you actually have to take every moment in, because it's so much more about the journey than the destination.
I agree 100%. My whole strategy going in their step as top 16 was, I always knew in my mind that one person was going to win the crown. Only one person, not 16 of us. And so when I went in there, I was like, regardless of what happens, I will have had fun. I will have made connections. I will have made the most of this moment. Because if you go there and you don't have fun and you don't connect with people and you don't make the most of the journey and then you don't win the crown at the end, you've lost out on everything. But if you made those connections, it doesn't matter who wins at the end, you will have these memories that you will take with you for the rest of your life. You will have met sponsors who possibly want to work with you in the future. You have built lifelong friendships with 15 incredible women who you would have probably never met if you never came into that competition. For me, you will never leave Miss South Africa the same way you came in. It doesn't matter how it will change you, but you will never leave the same person again. And it is a difficult process. I'm not going to lie. It's a difficult process emotionally, it be difficult physically and mentally, because you are put in this space that you're not used to. You know, you're being judged and you're with people that you don't know. And it's tough, but it's exciting at the same time. I think the excitement overpowers everything else. But you should always remember that if you are going to do this journey, make sure that you are centered, make sure that you know yourself, because then you'll be able to manage your emotions and your mental health and your emotional health. We always say all 16 of us at some point cried about something. At some point, all of us cried. It doesn't matter what for, but we cried, you know, because it's a lot of work and it's a lot of emotions. But it's the most fun thing you will ever do in your life. I don't think I've ever done anything like it. I will never experience anything like it again. You definitely have to do it. You have to do it.
What Zoz doesn't want to tell you guys is that her room and Siba's room had all the snacks. Zoz and Siba's room had all the snacks, all the time. That was the snack room. So whenever, like, even my roommate would come back, Lauren would always bring cakes and sweets from that room. I was like, how does this room have all these snacks? I was like,
that's
it was
true.
the room that you wanted to be in. It was the room that you wanted to be in.
And it's so crazy, Sash, because we weren't even allowed to do that, but our room was always full. Like, there were people there all the time. Like, why are you guys visiting us? We're not supposed to be seeing each other after hours. But it was always fun because it's such sisterhood and those friendships that we built. You become close to these people because it's a whole month. You know, it becomes genuine and we support each other, because most of the times we would find ourselves in those rooms for emotional support. someone had had a tough day, would sit there, try make that person feel better, try help. Siba had no idea how to put on makeup, not a single. For her interview, she came in with no makeup at all because she didn't know how to. Noltano taught her how to do makeup under 30 minutes during the night, must have been 10 p.m. to 11, 12. I don't know. They sat there in the mirror and she helped her. After that, she had improved. She wore makeup every day and it was really good. So that's just one of those examples of the things that you will experience in this journey. It's not like anything else that you will. It's a beautiful journey. Truly is.
I think it's definitely because, when you go into it, as you said, you're well aware of the fact that only one person makes it. I remember when we were the top 35, and then it was the first interview, and then it was the top 16. And obviously no one would know who the top 16 was besides us at the time. So I remember my first roommate was Puma, and I borrowed her a blazer because that's how we work. Like, we're always borrowing each other's clothes and stuff.
Absolutely, girl.
At that time, she's like, does this look okay? I'm like, no, okay, wait, let me give you the short blazer that I had because that would look really cool with your pants. She takes the blazer. She's like, okay, but now what if I don't make it? Because it was the announcement day of the top 16. So I was like, okay. So if you don't make it, then you can leave my blazer at reception. But if I don't make it, I'm going to go home. You can keep my blazer for a week and I'll come back. And I'll come again and I'll get it at reception because we honestly always needed one another at some point. And I think it was so great that we had that support within one another, and our group was really good to one another.
I think you've touched on something really important though, Sasha, because this is a serious, question, and something that we obviously as an organization take a lot of, cognizance of is how much, do you need to be, have the most ridiculous wardrobe, and how much money do you need to have so you can be a part of the pageant? These are serious questions that people ask.
Yeah, no, they are.
Financial backing to get into this.
For me, I would say you don't have to be rich. I wore my sister's clothes half the time. The clothes that I wore at Miss South Africa, most of them weren't mine. I had friends in varsity that I borrowed from. I had my sister. I would pull clothes from my roommates. I would pull clothes from the contestants whenever I needed to. So you don't have to have a lot. But what I always emphasize on is look neat. That's all. Look neat. You don't have to look expensive. If you are groomed and well put together, doesn't matter if you're wearing a 10 rand top. Nobody's going to know that because you look presentable. Nobody is here to judge your clothing. That's something, fashion and style can be taught. It's something that you can learn. Who you truly are, that's not something the judges can teach you. That's not something that this South Africa organization can teach you. That's what matters, who you are to the core, what you stand for, that's your story. Those are the things that you are in control of, not your fashion and how expensive your clothes are.
Absolutely.
So with my experience, it was a bit difficult for me because my size and my dimensions were very different to my group of friends.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really borrow a lot from people. But what I did do in the beginning was a friend of mine, Ashley, she tried to help me find clothes that would best fit me. For the curvier girls out there, this is a tip. So for blazers and stuff, I did go to Zara, and I think that was my initial investment, was just to have blazers and proper pants, because I didn't really have that many prior, because I was a student, I was at Wits, I wore functional clothing. It was just track pants and t-shirts because that's what I wore to university, and that's what I wore as a model to our call time, because the clothes would be there when you get there. So the only thing I actually made an investment in was in the blazers and the pants, because I felt that even after Miss South Africa, I could still use this. It would be beneficial to have in my work wardrobe. But where I had it made with some of the blazers or pants was at the plaza, which is very cheap. I had a dress made for 600 rand that looks out of this world, and that was including the material. I once had a dress. One of my evening dresses were from Chinatown or China Mall, however you put it. But it wasn't really about how much it was how I carried it.
That's very true. Yeah, I think so. What we're trying to emphasize here is you don't need all the money and all the expensive clothes to be a part of it. Just have essentials. Have a white t-shirt, have a black t-shirt, have jeans, black pants, heels. That the basic things that you might need. It doesn't have to be all super fancy. But yeah, make things like Sasha did. There's a lot of tailors up there who are willing to do it for, a very affordable price, or you can do it my way and just like borrow your way through.
Absolutely. And then I guess this is a really important one, and I think you guys come from both, very separate angles to this, and I think this is a worldwide thing, and it's not necessarily about why one would enter South Africa, but it's about women in general, and I think that's the purpose of this question. As much as times have moved on, women still struggle in daily life from different angles, and they're looking for somebody to represent them, and that's the point of the platform. And I think it's important to understand why we're in this situation, how one can assist, if you don't even get through to the next stage or whatever it may be. It's all around empowering those around you and being that spokesperson. You believe you can, you should. What do you think of that, gals?
Can you repeat the question for me, Steph?
The question's really, how important are female role models in society?
Okay. Women are important in society, first of all. And having them as leaders is of absolute importance too. Like I said, representation matters so much, even for women who might have felt that they are not being represented and that their problems are not being heard. It's so important to have them in those leadership positions. For young girls and for other women to see that they matter and that their opinions matter as much as anybody else's. We've noticed that whenever there's issues happening around the world, they affect women and children the most. Those are the people who feel it the most. And so that's why it's so important to have women up there, because women understand women issues. I mean, I was looking at a document from UN Women, and it was just like research on how if women are not thriving in society, the economy doesn't thrive, the health doesn't thrive, nothing goes right. And so in order for balance to be restored, we need to start treating women as equally as men and any other gender in the world. And so that's why this platform is so important, Steph, to empower women, to empower even the women that enter, even the woman who becomes Miss South Africa, might be so much more empowered in this process when she comes out more than she did when she entered, because you meet a lot of inspiring women and you meet a lot of women who are looking to be inspired. And it is through those lessons that you truly become that person. And so this platform is important. That's what Miss South Africa is about. That's what it truly is about. When I was Miss South Africa, and even now as Miss Universe, I haven't walked a runway. My fashion, no one's spoken about the way that I looked when I walked a runway. No one spoke about how my dress looked when I stood in that red carpet, but people speak about my interviews. People speak about the things that I say. And so that's why this platform is important, and that's what it's about. It's about what you say, because what you say matters. So that's my stance on it.
Absolutely.
For me, we need role models who continue to broaden the definition of what it means to be beautiful. We need role models who continually break the mold, because society previously used to dictate what we could or could not be. And I think it's so important for us to continue to shatter those glass ceilings and, do so, allow others to do the same, because I think there's been a lot of talk about what we can and can't achieve. And I think the most important thing about being a role model is to show that all things are possible. And it's not what it's said to be, but it's rather what it could be.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful for both of you. I'm so privileged to have had you. I mean, you guys are amazing, really. But I've got to ask you now one very important question.
Yes.
Do you think that that face, that new logo, is either of you?
It's so interesting that you say that because it looks like anyone. It could be anyone. I looked at it and I was like, that could be me. It looks like me. But then it also looks like Sasha. And then it looks like Lauren. And then it looks like everyone.
I also said it also looked like Lauren.
Yeah. And it
looked like Lauren.
it,
kind of like Rhodina and Tamrin. So
so I don't know, Steph. It could be, it's anyone. I think the messaging behind it is you need to look at that face and know that it could be you. That's
Exactly.
all.
Exactly.
That's
It's amazing, right? It's nobody.
It's nobody.
It's nobody.
It's you.
It's everybody.
If you want it to be you, it's you.
Exactly. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. That was awesome. I am excited for the live on Insta. So obviously the live will only be in around 2 weeks. So I think more focus on probably what the journey could be like, a little bit more details that we'll shed around that. And we've changed a lot of the because I'm sure I know Sash, you're going to get a ton of questions, and Zoz, I'm pretty sure thousands of people are slipping into your DMs right now. We changed the requirements. We made the age a year above. We made the age one more. We went up 1 year.
I think that is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
That we
It
went
really is.
1 year. So just so you know that, and then otherwise everything.
So which means I could have qualified this year too.
Yeah.
You played.
No, listen, man, it was your time.
It was your time. It was your time.
It was my
time.
It was. Yeah, that is so funny.
God put that pressure. He was like, hey, it could change. He put that pressure just so that you could enter. It was your year ago.
That is so hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much.